The Mars colony suffered its first major crisis 3 months into Kalira's stay. A dust storm damaged the oxygen processors and supplies began running dangerously low. Evacuation protocols were initiated, but there were not enough emergency vessels for everyone. Kalira watched in amazement as humans worked together, making sacrifices, putting others before themselves. Olivia worked tirelessly alongside the engineering team, even though her xenobiology skills were of little use in the crisis. When word came that a Xeraxian vessel was approaching, Kalira knew what she had to do. She contacted her royal guard who had remained in orbit and requested immediate assistance. The Xeraxian Council was furious at her unauthorized actions. Providing technical assistance to humans was not part of the diplomatic agreement, but Kalira stood firm, revealing her new understanding of humanity and demanding that her people help. The crisis was averted, but not without consequences. Upon learning that Princess Kalira had shared advanced Xeraxian technology with humans, the Council officially banished her, stripping her of royal status and forbidding her return. Kalira felt strangely liberated as she removed the royal insignia from her robes. "You could request asylum on Earth," offered Olivia. "We would welcome you, especially after what you did for us." Kalira considered this. Her banishment was meant as another humiliation, but perhaps it was actually freedom. She had grown to admire humans, their tenacity, their emotional depth, their capacity for growth. "What would I do on Earth?" she asked. "Whatever you want," replied Olivia. "You could join our xenobiology team. Your knowledge would be invaluable, or you could explore art history. Anything that interests you, that's what freedom means." 6 months later, Kalira had settled into a research position at the Earth Xenobiology Institute. Her unique 4-armed physiology and natural Xeraxian abilities made her particularly suited for laboratory work, and her insights had already led to several breakthroughs in understanding interspecies biology. She and Olivia shared living quarters, now their friendship having evolved into something deeper. Kalira had never experienced such emotional connection. On her homeworld, where relationships were primarily political or practical, one evening after receiving news that her research had been approved for publication, Kalira made an announcement that shocked Olivia. "I want to have a child," she said simply. "But how?" Olivia asked. "Our species are completely different genetically. I have been researching Xeraxian reproduction," explained Kalira. "We can adapt genetic material from any sentient species and combine it with our own. It was originally an evolutionary survival mechanism from when our planet experienced catastrophic population decline. A child that would be part human, part Xeraxian," Olivia whispered. "The first of its kind." "More than that," said Kalira. "It would be born of choice, not royal obligation or political necessity. The child would represent everything I have come to value about human culture: freedom, choice, love. It would belong to both worlds. And you want me to?" Olivia left the question unfinished. "To contribute the human genetic material." "Yes," confirmed Kalira, "if you are willing." The royal halls of the Xeraxian palace echoed with laughter as Princess Kalira stood frozen before the High Council, her purple skin flushing a deeper shade of violet. The 7 council members, with their elongated heads and glittering scales, could barely contain their amusement. "What do you mean I am to be sent to Earth as a diplomatic gift?" asked Kalira, her forearms trembling with rage. Councillor Zex flicked his tongue in delight. "We have selected a human male from their scientific outpost. The diplomatic corps believes this will strengthen our ties with the Earthlings, but truly, we all know humans are barely evolved apes. It will be most entertaining to watch you attempt to communicate with such a primitive species." Kalira knew this was punishment for her outspoken views on interspecies relations. The Xeraxian Empire had only recently discovered Earth and viewed humans as curiosities at best and test subjects at worst. 3 cycles later, Kalira found herself aboard a transport vessel bound for the human settlement on Mars colony. Her ceremonial robes felt heavy against her slender frame, and the traditional crown of luminescent crystals weighed upon her head. The gravity adjustments made her feel sick, but her royal training prevented her from showing weakness. The human diplomatic team greeted the Xeraxian vessel with appropriate ceremony, but Kalira could sense their unease. She was to be presented as a cultural exchange ambassador, but in reality, she was nothing more than a political pawn, a joke sent to live among creatures her people considered inferior. Her personal guard leaned close. "Your new human keeper approaches, Highness. Try not to show your disgust too openly." Kalira lifted her gaze to see a tall human woman with auburn hair tied back in a simple knot walking toward her. The woman wore the blue uniform of the Earth Science Division with a nameplate that read, "Let Olivia Reeves, welcome to Mars Colony." "Your Highness," said Olivia. "With a formal bow, I have been assigned as your liaison during your stay with us." Kalira blinked her large iridescent eyes in surprise. She had expected a male, as the council had mentioned. A female had not been part of the humiliation they had planned. The royal quarters they had prepared were smaller than her bathroom back home, but Kalira said nothing. The gravity was uncomfortable, the air too dry, and the colors all wrong, but she maintained her regal composure. "Lieutenant Reeves will be your personal guide and host during the exchange program," explained the human commander. "Your cultural exchange is unprecedented, and we hope it leads to greater understanding between our species." Alone with Olivia later, Kalira finally spoke. "Why were you chosen as my keeper?" Olivia smiled slightly. "I volunteered. Actually, I specialize in xenobiology and interspecies communication. This assignment is an honor, not a burden." Days turned to weeks as Kalira reluctantly began learning about human culture. Olivia was patient, teaching her about Earth history, art, music, and science. To her surprise, Kalira found herself fascinated by human resilience and creativity, traits her people had dismissed. One evening, as they sat in the observation dome watching the pink Martian sunset, Olivia asked, "Why did your people really send you here?" "The diplomatic explanation seems incomplete." Kalira hesitated, then decided on honesty. "It was meant as a joke, a punishment. They think humans are primitive, and watching a princess try to function among your kind was meant to be amusing." Olivia did not seem offended. Instead, she laughed softly. "So the joke was on you, not us. And what do you think now after living among us primitive beings?" "I think my people are fools," answered Kalira. "There is much we could learn from humans." Their friendship grew deeper. Olivia taught Kalira to play chess, to enjoy chocolate, to appreciate human music. Kalira in turn shared Xeraxian poetry, showed Olivia how to meditate using all four arms for energy channeling, and explained the complex hierarchy of her homeworld. News of the pregnancy spread quickly through human and Xeraxian channels alike. The Xeraxian Council was outraged, declaring the unborn child an abomination. Human religious and conservative groups expressed similar concerns, but many on both sides saw it as a powerful symbol of unity and future possibilities. As her pregnancy progressed, Kalira received a surprising message from her younger sister, now heir to the Xeraxian throne. "Your child will have a place in our world if you wish it," wrote the new princess. "The council elders speak only for themselves, not for all Xeraxians. Many of us are curious about humans and see potential in closer relations. Your choice may have been the most royal thing you have ever done." The pregnancy was difficult, requiring new medical protocols and constant monitoring. But when little Maya was born with violet skin flecked with golden freckles, 4 perfectly formed arms, and startlingly human eyes, both Earth and Xerax celebrated despite official opposition. Kalira watched as Olivia held their daughter, carefully supporting her multiple limbs. She thought of the joke that had sent her to Earth, the prank that was meant to humiliate her. Instead, it had led her to discover strength she never knew she had, and to make choices based on her own desires rather than royal obligation. Maya would grow up between worlds, belonging fully to neither, yet embodying the best of both. She would face challenges but also opportunities no other being had ever known, and she would never be bound by the rigid expectations that had defined Kalira's early life. The prank had backfired spectacularly. As she watched her human partner cradle their hybrid child, Kalira knew she had found something far more precious than royal status. She had found a future built on choice, respect, and understanding. For the first time, she felt truly free, As Maya grew, her unique abilities became apparent. She could change the color of her skin like Xeraxians, but also possessed remarkable human adaptability and emotional intelligence. Her 4 arms gave her advantages in the laboratory, where she often accompanied her parents. Kalira and Olivia had created a home that honored both cultures. Their apartment contained Xeraxian meditation, crystals alongside human books and art. Maya learned both languages and celebrated holidays from both worlds. When Maya turned 5, she asked the question they had been expecting. "Why am I different from other children?" Kalira and Olivia exchanged glances. Olivia nodded encouragingly and Kalira knelt before their daughter. "You are special, Maya, because you are the first of your kind," she explained. "You are a bridge between 2 worlds. 2 species that once thought they had nothing in common. Now look to you as proof that we are not so different after all, but the other children sometimes stare." Maya said, her skin darkening with emotion. "People often fear what they do not understand." Olivia added, joining them. "That fear can look like anger, or curiosity, or many other things. But as they get to know you, they will see beyond the differences." Maya considered this, her small face serious. "You were sent here as a joke, Mama," she said to Kalira, repeating the story she had heard many times, but it wasn't funny. "No, it wasn't," Kalira agreed. "But sometimes the best things come from unexpected places." The Earth Xenobiology Institute had become a center for interspecies cooperation. Scientists from 12 different worlds now worked together, sharing knowledge and solving problems that affected multiple systems. Kalira had been promoted to Director of Hybrid Studies, her work with human DNA having opened new possibilities in medicine and genetics. On Maya's 7th birthday, an official Xeraxian delegation arrived on Earth. Kalira was notified that her sister, the new queen, wished to meet her niece. The council had opposed this visit, but the young queen's popularity made it impossible to prevent. Olivia watched nervously as the royal ship landed. "Do you think this is a trick?" she asked Kalira. "A way to get Maya away from us." Kalira shook her head. "My sister has always been more progressive than our parents. She genuinely wishes to know Maya, I believe, but we will be cautious." Queen Zilara was younger than Kalira but carried herself with the same regal bearing. Her scales glittered with royal markings and her 4 arms bore the traditional tattoos of leadership. When she saw Maya, she knelt down, breaking all royal protocol. "Hello, little one," she said in perfect English. "I am your aunt. I have waited a long time to meet you." Maya bowed as her mothers had taught her, but then did something unexpected. She stepped forward and touched the queen's face with one small hand. The Xeraxian guards gasped, but Queen Zilara remained still. "You look like Mama," Maya said, "but your eyes are different." The queen smiled. "You are observant like a true Xeraxian, but direct like a human. A perfect combination." The visit lasted 3 days. During that time, Queen Zilara proposed a formal alliance between Earth and Xyrax, with Maya recognized as a citizen of both worlds. She offered Kalira a pardon and restoration of her royal status, though not her place in the line of succession. "I cannot return to Xyrax," Kalira told her sister. "My life is here now with Olivia and our work at the Institute." "I expected as much," replied the queen. "But I wanted you to know that you and your family would be welcome should Maya wish to learn about her Xeraxian heritage. There will always be a place for her at court." After the delegation departed, life returned to normal, but with subtle changes. Other species became interested in human genetic compatibility. The concept of hybrid children, though rare, became less shocking. Kalira and Olivia's research expanded, and they were invited to present their findings on other worlds. When Maya turned 10, she expressed interest in visiting Xerax. Kalira and Olivia discussed it at length, finally agreeing that Maya should know both sides of her heritage. The journey to Xerax took 2 Earth weeks. The planet was larger than Earth, with higher gravity and a purple-tinged atmosphere. Maya pressed her face against the viewport. As they approached, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her skin shifting to match the color she saw below. Queen Zilara welcomed them to the royal palace, the same place where Kalira had once been mocked and sent away as a joke. Now she returned with her head held high. A respected scientist, a mother, and a pioneer of interspecies relations, The old council members were mostly gone, replaced by younger Xeraxians, many of whom had studied human culture and history. Still there were those who viewed Maya with suspicion, whispering behind their hands as she passed. Maya noticed but did not seem bothered. She explored the palace with curiosity, asking questions about everything, learning Xeraxian customs and traditions with ease. Her adaptability impressed even the most skeptical of the royal court. On the final day of their visit, Queen Zilara presented Maya with a gift, a small crown of luminescent crystals similar to the one Kalira had once worn. "This is not a royal crown," she explained as Maya examined it with all four hands. "It is a symbol of your unique place in both our worlds, neither fully Xeraxian nor fully human, but something new, something with potential. We are only beginning to understand." Maya wore the crown proudly as they departed, Xyrax promising her aunt that she would return someday, back on Earth. Maya entered her teen years with the same challenges and joys as any adolescent, though her unique physiology and heritage added complications. Her forearms made her exceptional at sports, but League officials debated whether this gave her an unfair advantage. Her Xeraxian color-changing abilities made her popular at school, but also led to accusations of deception when she unconsciously shifted colors to match her emotions. Through it all, Kalira and Olivia supported her, teaching her to embrace her differences rather than hide them. The prank that had brought them together had created something beautiful and unexpected. When Maya turned 16, she announced her intention to study both xenobiology like her mother's and interplanetary diplomacy. Her goal, she explained, was to help other hybrid children navigate their dual identities and to work toward greater understanding between species. "I want to turn what was meant as a cruel joke into something that helps others," she told her mothers, her skin glowing with the bright yellow of determination. The Earth Xenobiology Institute now had an entire department dedicated to hybrid studies with 27 children born of different species, combinations. Kalira and Olivia had become leaders in the field. Their research having paved the way for others, Queen Zilara maintained regular communication with her niece, even visiting Earth for Maya's graduation ceremony. She brought news that the Xeraxian Council had officially recognized hybrid citizens as having equal status, a change largely influenced by Maya's visits and the success of her mother's work. The joke that had sent a princess into exile had become the foundation for a new era of interspecies cooperation. Maya, a child born of that joke, now stood as a symbol of what was possible when prejudice gave way to understanding. Kalira sometimes thought about the council members who had laughed at her so many years ago, sending her away as if she were nothing. They had meant to humiliate her to put her in her place. Instead, they had given her the greatest gift, freedom to choose her own path, to find love, to create something entirely new. As she watched Maya prepare to leave for university, to chart her own course in life, Kalira felt no regret. Her daughter would face challenges, but she would face them with the strength of two worlds behind her, and she would never be bound by the expectations that had once defined Kalira's life. The prank had failed spectacularly. The joke was now on those who had tried to use her as a political tool. What they had intended as humiliation had become a catalyst for change, both personal and political. From a punishment had come purpose. From a cruel joke had come love, family, and a future neither world could have imagined alone. They had given the alien princess to a human as a prank. Now she had become a mother, and in doing so had changed the course of two civilizations forever.